Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual Open Enrollment Fair session. During today's session, we will go over Life and AD&D benefits with MetLife. Before we get started, I would like to brief everyone on a couple housekeeping items. All attendees are muted and will be muted throughout the presentation. If you have a question, please type it in the chat box located on the lower right corner of your monitor. All questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Be informed that if you type a question in the chat box, everyone attending the session will not see your question or your name. If you have a question that is confidential, please contact the Benefits Division. Lastly, today's webinar is being recorded. A copy will be posted on the Benefits Open Enrollment website. At this time, I will turn it over to our presenter, Peter Crosby.
Good morning and welcome to your open enrollment presentation. I'm Peter Crosby with MetLife, and we're going to be talking about your life insurance today. We're going to go over the basic life insurance and then the additional coverage that you can get through this program. Life insurance is a really important benefit. It helps replace lost income, protects your standard of living. Financial security is very important for your family. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans say that they think they need more life insurance depending on things that have changed possibly in their life. Again, standard of living, financial security are the things that this is going to protect. So why should you evaluate your life insurance needs annually? Things change and evolve over time. Maybe you're getting married or there's changes there with your family, your growing family. Maybe you have a new larger mortgage, things of that nature, a new job, salary increase, and planning for retirement. Those are all things that make a difference in terms of your yearly planning. So the basic life and accidental death and dismemberment plan is employer paid, and it depends on the class. Class 1 is a flat 10,000 coverage. Class 2 is one-time basic annual earnings up to $1 million and a minimum of 50,000. Class 3 is 2 times basic annual earnings up to $1 million and a minimum of 50,000. And then the same for class 5 is 2 times basic annual earnings up to $1 million or 50,000 coverage. So these are the different classes that are for the basic life that are taken care of for you by your employer. Supplemental coverage is also available if you want to get additional coverage. Coverage is available 1 to 6 times your basic annual earnings to a maximum of $2 million. This would be where you could buy up additional coverage on top of the basic life provided by the employer. Enrollment in this supplemental life is available without providing a statement of health as long as you're actively at work and the enrollment takes place before the enrollment deadline. You're a new hire within 31 days of becoming eligible. You can get 1 to 3 times your basic earnings there, or if you're continuing coverage if you already had it from last year. So voluntary AD&D coverage is also additional benefit there for you and family members. If you want to get coverage that'll cover for accidental death and dismemberment, it's an additional benefit on top of your basic life or your additional buy-up life insurance. So employee can elect 1 to 3 times their annual earnings up to a maximum of $1 million. Coverage options, you can cover spouse or domestic partner. The amount would be 50% of the employee's amount selected with that particular product there. And spouse and domestic partner only, the amount would be 60% of the coverage amount. Dependent children, 25% for those options. So, there's a lot of things that come along with the advantages of the MetLife products. There's a lot of support, delivering the promise. There's what's called the total control account to help out somebody if someone passes away, how to handle their money. And then there's also travel assistance. Planning, there's will preparation that comes along with the buy-up life insurance and also with the basic life. There's a will planning center, funeral planning services, and the protection is transition solutions we have. It's portable for the additional coverage you can take. The basic life is not portable, but the additional coverage is. So choosing the right amount doesn't need to be difficult. It's tools that are out here from MetLife for you to go online, and there's a calculator there that can help you plan for your family specifically the amounts of coverage that are right for you and your personal lifestyle. So that planner is included with your enrollment materials. So it's very easy to enroll as well. The open enrollment dates are going to be September 27th through October 21st, 2022. You can access the enrollments through the county's site, which is the benefits open enrollment website that's on there for you. And then, if you have questions, you can always call 1-800-GET-MET-8 Monday through Friday on there, or you can go to your human resources. And that's an overview of your life insurance, the basic life and the additional buy-up life insurance and accidental death and dismemberment. Questions at all? Nidra, are you able to see? I'm not able to see the Q&A box right now.
Peter, no questions so far in the Q&A. I'm looking at it. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to type your question in the Q&A box. Okay, we have one coming in. I attempted to add coverage for my husband, but I'm not sure I selected the correct choices. We might need to come back to this question. I'm not sure what's being asked here, so I'll move to the next question. At the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned basic coverage by the county. How do we know what class we are in?
That would be something that I would think you'd have to check with human resources to determine the class of employee that you are there.
I can add additional response to that question. On the benefits website, there is a separate section for the life insurance, and it includes an EOC, evidence of coverage, the tiers of coverage, and your class. I will look for that right now, and I can put it in the chat box, the link. Give me just a second. Another question, can you have life insurance after you retire?
The basic life insurance, you wouldn't keep the basic life insurance. That's for while you're an active employee, but the additional buy-up life insurance, you'd be able to continue after retirement and then pay directly to the insurance company.
Okay. Another question, do the beneficiaries have to be relatives?
No, you could choose to have a friend as a beneficiary if you wanted to. They don't have to be relatives.
Very good. Next question. If I decide to retire within the next year, can that coverage carry over into retirement?
The additional coverage, if you bought up additional coverage, those you can continue. In terms of the core basic package, it would depend on your retirement package from where you work and your class of employee, but I believe that it's just the additional coverage that is available for you to take with you into retirement and pay directly to the insurance company.
Okay. Next question, what is the rate after retirement?
That's going to be dependent on the amount of coverage that you have and whether you have dependents covered or accidental death and dismemberment coverage. So that rate would be something that would be determined at that time.
Our next question, can the executor of your life insurance get the estate resolution help if I die?
Yes. Yeah, that's what the estate resolution help is for beneficiaries who need assistance with managing those kinds of things.
Our next question, is there a break in life insurance coverage when you retire?
You mean, does the cost of the coverage go down?
Let's see if this individual did a follow-up question, but that appears to be the only thing that's being asked right now.
Yeah, the coverage typically doesn't go down in cost, or you don't typically get a break, but you do get a rate that is a group rated type of rate based on that you are part of MetLife group that had the core benefits with the buy-up life insurance. So it's going to be a different rate than what somebody would get if they just were to go directly to MetLife and buy a policy directly from MetLife.
Next question. So we can keep the additional life insurance coverage after retiring. Will the premiums increase?
The premiums do increase based on age, so it doesn't stay the same rate. It's age banded.
Okay, next question. Are these whole life or term life policies?
The additional buy-up life insurance is a term life policy.
All right. All great questions. That seems to be it for now. We welcome more questions, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your questions. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Okay. Employees are offered both life insurance and AD&D. Can you provide information on how the two would work together?
The information should be on your intranet on how they work together, but how they work together, there are additional benefits. So if you have life insurance, basic life, and you have the buy-up life insurance, and then you also have the AD&D coverage, they would all pay a benefit out if unfortunately somebody passed away that was covered under there. So their beneficiary would receive the basic life, then they would receive the portion of the buy-up life insurance, and then if it was due to an accidental death and dismemberment, and that individual had purchased additional coverage there, that would also cover.
A follow-up question on the difference between the life insurance and AD&D. Does the AD&D pay a portion for a dismemberment for such as a leg or an arm or a body part?
Yeah, it does have a dismemberment portion built in the schedule of benefits, and I think you'd be able to find that online on your intranet, where your internal intranet where you do your enrollments.
Okay, here's a premiums-based question. So if I understand correctly, premiums only increase based on age, right? They don't increase as a result of retiring.
They're going to be increased based on a result of retiring, based on the amount of coverage that you convert. So they'll tell you how much the cost of your coverage is going to be after retirement when you first retire. So it's not going to be the same exact rate typically that you're paying while you're at work. But I don't have the exact numbers for that. That'd be something that you need to get from the MetLife administrator.
Is there an age that it ceases, that the coverage ceases?
I do not know the answer to that question. Typically, it's going to be based on how long you want to continue the coverage. So if you have a coverage that's designed to continue for 20 years, then it would continue for 20 years after that term period of time. So it's going to depend on what you convert and how much coverage you convert.
Let's see, next question. Is a medical screening needed to increase coverage during employment or at retirement?
Typically not at retirement, but if you are going to increase coverage over the simplified or the guaranteed issue amounts, then a medical screening or a statement of health could be required, yes.
All right. Next question. Do you need to submit beneficiary information each year if they do not change from year to year or year to the next?
No, you can have that beneficiary information roll forward. If you want to change each year, I do recommend that you review each year your beneficiaries if you've had any type of a change, to make sure that that's updated correctly.
And just to go back to a question regarding class and where to find that information, in the chat box, I posted a link to the MetLife portal for county employees on differentiation between the classes. There's the class 1, 2, 3, and 5. And that link can also direct you in other areas and understanding how the plan and the protections work under the policies. Okay. Next question for you, Peter. The coverage that can be extended into retirement, does that mean that you must qualify for that? Are there any new requirements to obtain that coverage?
If you already have the coverage in place, no, then you don't have to qualify. You can just request for conversion to direct pay if you're keeping the same amounts of coverage, and then they'll let you know how much the cost is going to be going forward at that time.
Okay. Next question. If we get the extra life insurance through MetLife, but we also have life insurance through another company, how does that work? Would a beneficiary be able to collect through both life insurance policies?
Yes, each life insurance policy would be a separate policy.
And moving right along, does MetLife still offer the free preparation for wills?
Yes, under the buy-up program, you can get free preparation for the wills. Under the basic life, you can get all the information and tools to use the self-service will building tools that are part of the MetLife program. So, but for the free will preparation, that would be part of the buy-up life insurance.
Okay, and there was another question of what was the fee or the cost, and it's actually free preparation, if I heard you correctly. Okay.
Lots of great questions. Thank you.
Okay, here's another question. What will the beneficiary need to report upon my death?
So what happens when someone passes away, they are going to need to notify MetLife, and then they're going to need to provide the death certificate and the the reasons for passing away to MetLife. They have a whole team when somebody does unfortunately pass away. They have a whole team to assist with that, to assist the beneficiaries with everything that they're going to need to submit.
Okay. Jumping back to the subject of will preparation, the question is, how do we get the free will preparation, or I'm assuming access that service?
So you're going to access that through your online tools. Also, you can go directly to MetLife to access that. And the information is going to be provided for you in the buy-up life insurance information that you receive.
All right, we'll just wait for more questions to come in. These are all great.
The life insurance is a very important benefit, so I'm glad to see that people are really taking a look at this and asking their questions.
Peter, what is the maximum age coverage for dependent children or adult children?
Typically, the dependent children age has been 18, and I believe it is up until age 18 under this plan. I can check on that though, because in some cases it's up to age 26. I have to check specifically for your guys' plan if it's 18 or 26. So I can find out the answer to that and get back to you.
Okay.
Hi, this is Katie from Benefits. Dependents are covered up to the age of 26.
So for life insurance as well, because I know it is for all the other types of benefits, which would be for the medical, dental, vision, those kinds of things.
Yes, our dependent life coverage, as well as the voluntary AD&D, covers dependents up to age 26.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to be sure because some of them stop at 18, even though the others continue to 26. So thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Katie. A couple more questions have come through. Will you be showing the PowerPoint again? And I believe in the essence of time, Peter, we can do another round of the presentation. So absolutely, we'll be doing another session. Another question.
Absolutely.
Okay. Another question. Do you need to have a physical for the buy-up insurance?
In certain specific amounts, no, but if you go over the simplified issue amounts that were in the presentation, then evidence of insurability could be required. So for the additional life insurance under certain amounts, and I don't remember off the top of my head the exact amounts, they were on the screen of what they were. I think it was up to 3 times your annual income for the buy-up life insurance.
This is Katie, and I just want to clarify, if anyone is newly enrolling in supplemental life insurance or has any increase, even if it's 1 times to 2 times, they are subject to statement of health, which is the evidence of insurability, which is an online form that will be emailed to you after open enrollment. And MetLife may determine that they need additional information, which could include a physical.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
All right, more questions coming through. If I decrease the amount of coverage after retirement, is a physical needed?
To decrease the amount of coverage?
Correct.
No, I wouldn't think that there would be, because it was a lowering of the amount of coverage.
Are there reasons coverage would be denied? The next question.
Depending on the statement of health, if you are in a situation where you're filling out a statement of health, then there are conditions that could cause you to be denied coverage. And we could get you a list of what those coverages would be. I don't have a list here with me now, but we could get you a list provided to you at a later time of what those conditions would be.
All right, a question regarding beneficiaries. I can change them at any time, or do I need to wait for open enrollment?
No, beneficiaries can be changed in writing at any time. For the basic life, I believe you do that through your Human Resources Administration. And for the buy-up life insurance, you would do it directly with MetLife.
I believe MetLife is the custodian of record for beneficiaries, even for the basic life insurance, for basic and supplemental life insurance.
Okay.
On the beneficiaries. Okay, let's see if any more questions have come in. Here we are. If you continue life insurance after retirement, what dollar amount is that based on? The amount of money you are retiring on, or what you previously made?
If you're going to be continuing, it's going to be based on the amount of coverage, the buy-up life insurance that you currently have. So if you're just continuing the amount that you have, it would be that same amount. If you're going to try to raise the amount of coverage, then it would be based on your previous earnings as to what you're going to try to continue. If you wanted to try to raise up the amount of coverage, but then you may be subject to that statement of health at that time if you're going to go above certain amounts. And thank you very much for helping with the question box.
Absolutely, you're welcome. And how about we go another round on the presentation in a couple of minutes? It seems like the questions are kind of fizzling down.
So you want me
But
to start it over from the beginning?
absolutely, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did it pop back up
Peter?
again?
Not, it's gone. Once you get it up, you can start it. But I just wanted to remind everyone to check the chat box. There is a link there to County of San Diego's MetLife portal, where you can review all the details about class coverage, additional information about beneficiaries. And it looks like Peter has the presentation up, so we'll go through this and then we'll answer more questions at the end.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everybody for joining the program, the life insurance presentation. My name is Peter Crosby. I'm with MetLife, and I'm going to go over the life insurance basic benefits and the buy-up life insurance and the accidental death and dismemberment insurance being offered to everybody at the county there. So as we look at, why is life insurance important? It is important because there's a loss of income if someone passes away. It helps protect standard of living, and it provides financial security for you and your family having these options available. Often, 1 in 3 Americans say they do need more life insurance. So when you look at the different reasons why someone might need more life insurance on this next screen, people's needs change and evolve over time. Maybe you're getting married. Maybe they're having a new family member, a growing family member, or a new or larger mortgage, have a new job or a salary increase that could change the needs that you have, or planning for retirement. There's basic life that's covered by your employer, which is based on the class of employee. The class 1 is 10,000 flat rate. Class 2 is one time the basic annual earnings up to $1 million with a minimum of 50,000. And then we have class C, or class 3 and class 5, which is 2 times your basic annual earnings up to $1 million with a minimum of 50,000. So those particular amounts are out there on a website. I believe, Nidra, you said that they were there for people to look at.
Yes, they're there and accessible for all employees to see.
So the supplemental life coverage, which you can get on top of the basic life that the employer purchases, is available in 1 to 6 times your basic annual earnings to a maximum of $2 million. Enrollment in the supplemental plan is available without providing a statement of health, as long as you meet the different conditions below. As your enrollment takes place before the enrollment deadline, you're a new hire, or your enrollment takes place within 31 days from the date you become eligible for benefits, in the amounts of 1 to 3 times your basic annual earnings, or if you're continuing coverage that you had last year. If you waived coverage in the past and you want to increase coverage, the amount you currently have, are required to complete a statement of health, which would be emailed after the enrollment periods end. So with regards to the voluntary benefits, the voluntary AD&D coverage, you can also purchase additionally that would give additional benefit for accidental death, or God forbid, dismemberment under these. And you can cover yourselves and your family members. So it's for 1 to 3 times your base annual earnings up to $1 million maximum. Dependent coverage options for spouse or domestic partner and child are available. The amounts will be 50% of the employee's amount. Spouse and domestic partner is going to be 60% of the amount, and dependent children would be 25% of that amount respectively. So there's a lot of different advantages that MetLife brings to the table with regards to these plans. And so when you look at the support we give. There's grief counseling. We do deliver on the promises that we make with these plans. There's total control accounts, which help beneficiaries be able to manage money that they would receive if someone passes away. And there's also travel assistance. We have the planning for face-to-face will preparation, estate resolution services. There's a wills center, and it does have funeral planning services available. The protection, coverage for all active employees, services for workplace transitions, transition solutions, and it does offer portability under the buy-up life insurance. There's a calculator that's out there that we have tools, so you can go and it shouldn't be difficult to be able to go on here and choose how much coverage you think you need for yourself and your family. There's the basic life, then you have the buy-up life, and then you can choose, if you want the additional AD&D. So the planner is included in your enrollment materials. So how you would go about enrolling open enrollment dates are September 27th to October 21st of this year. You can access the PeopleSoft through the county's website. The Insight page is where you would go to access that. And then you can also call, MetLife directly to get your questions answered. And there's that 800 number there. So thank you. That's the basic overview of the presentation. Thank you very much. And I believe we have the question and answer box still open if there's additional questions that we can help out with.
Okay. Looks like we do have one question. Sorry, I didn't answer it previously. So at retirement, you would be paid on the salary that you were making at the time you retire?
If you've already got your buy-up life insurance, then you're going to convert the amount that you already have in place. If you wanted to raise that up, you could raise it up, but then it would be based on, your salary. When you're trying to raise it up, it would be based on that. But if you're going above the basic simplified issue limits, then they're going to require a statement of health. But if you're just converting what you already have, they would convert that directly over at the same amount of coverage that you have. So let's say that you had 2 or 3 times your amount of annual income at that time, and it equaled $150,000 as an example. When you retire, you'd be able to convert that policy of $150,000 over to whatever the cost they would charge you at that time for that coverage.
Great, thank you, Peter. Here's another question. Can you please review more on how the will benefit works?
So what the will benefit's going to do under the basic life, it's a self-planner where you would go through and work through the questions on the website. For the buy-up life insurance, it's actually through the Met Law program. MetLife owns a company called Hyatt Legal, which is now called Met Law, and they have many attorneys that are in network throughout the country. And so that's how that would work, that you'd be able to get access to one of those attorneys to help you through that process if you have the buy-up life insurance to get your will or your living trust put together.
All right, next question. If I request for an increase and it's not approved, will you keep the previously approved coverage?
The previously approved coverage, yes, you'd be able to keep that previously approved coverage. Mm-hmm.
Next question, if I end my employment with the county, can I convert my group life insurance into individual insurance?
The buy-up life insurance, yes. The basic life insurance, I do not believe so. That's because that's an employer-paid product.
Okay. Next question, what is the difference between class 3 and 5? The PowerPoint was quick, but I think they both show twice your salary. I can answer this for this employee. The class definitions, we actually have it on the benefits website, and it's defined by your position. So if you're a clerical employee versus a food service employee, the class definitions are definitely available on the county's website. And I did put the link in the chat box. Although the chat box the chat box is closed, the link to MetLife and the class definitions is there for you. Next question, the PowerPoint was only about life insurance, right? Will there also be a PowerPoint about the AD&D?
But there was information in the PowerPoint about the AD&D toward the end. I can try to get back to those pages if you'd like me to.
That would be great, Peter. Thank you.
Okay, so here's the pages for the accidental death and dismemberment insurance. And so you can see that this is going to be additional protection that you can buy up. And so the employee can elect from 1 to 3 times their base annual earnings up to a maximum of $1 million of coverage. And the dependent options, spouse and domestic partner, children, can be covered under the voluntary accidental death and dismemberment. Amount will be 50% of the employee's amount for spouse. So spouse and domestic partner only VAD&D would be 60% of the employee's coverage if that was the only thing you're doing. Dependent children only would be 25% of the employee's amount. So basically what that's saying is if you just only are adding a spouse or domestic partner with no children, then the AD&D additional would be 60%. If you're adding no spouse or domestic partner, but only adding dependent children, it would be 25% of the employee's coverage amount on there for that one. So that basically is the screen for the accidental death and dismemberment.
Thank you, Peter. We'll just wait for more questions
Hopefully
to come
that
through
helped
the
out.
Q&A. Okay. Peter, can you review what is included under dismemberment?
The specifics that are included under dismemberment are going to be on a schedule of benefits. And so I don't have that schedule of benefits in front of me to be able to give you the exact specifics. And that would be online where you could find the schedule of benefits for dismemberment. I don't have access to that with the screens that we have up right now to search through to find where that schedule is. And I don't believe they even sent me exactly what that schedule would be. So you need to get that directly from MetLife or through your human resource administrator. But dismemberment is typically like you lose your loss of limbs, that type of thing.
Okay. I don't see any more questions in the Q&A box, but we'll give it a few more minutes here.
Yeah, we have plenty of time, so.
Absolutely.
And I think most of the information with these questions, the answers or the information is going to be on the PeopleSoft through the county's site.
Yes, for all our participants, employees of the county, if you double check the chat box, there is a link to the microsite for MetLife and County of Employees Basic Life and Supplemental Life Insurance. So please feel free to grab that and copy and paste it into when you open a web page.
I see another question that popped in. Is it the dismemberment part of the AD&D covers myself, right, not beneficiaries? So, if somebody passed away and they had a dismemberment, then it would go to the beneficiary. But if somebody unfortunately just has a dismemberment, then that AD&D, the dismemberment portion would make a payment to the insured individual.
And this is Katie. To add on to that, the basic AD&D that the county pays for all employees covers only the employee. If you elect voluntary AD&D, you have the option to include your dependents, which would be a spouse, domestic partner, and or children. And so if something were to happen to one of your dependents, they would be covered if you elected the family coverage.
Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely. And I think that there was a question that we missed. Is AD&D only for spouses, domestic partners, and our children? Or if we're single and don't have any children, can AD&D be for any other beneficiary?
I mean, could you buy coverage for that other beneficiary, or would the benefit?
I believe, can we buy coverage for another beneficiary?
Yeah, no, it would have to be either spouse or domestic partner or dependent children.
And I'll add on, there's often confusion around the terms dependent and beneficiary. A dependent is going to be a spouse, domestic partner, or child who is eligible for any of your health benefits for actual coverage, whereas a beneficiary is someone that you are listing to receive a benefit from life insurance should something happen to you. And a beneficiary can be anybody, but the dependents who are eligible to actually be covered are spouse, domestic partner, and children.
Peter, we had a participant come in late for the session, and we would like to do a repeat, another go through the presentation one more time, please.
Oh, sure, that's totally fine.
Perfect.
I can start it over here. Okay. Can everyone see the first page now?
Yes, we can.
Oh, perfect. I just like to make sure. Great. So, well, thank you everybody again. This is Peter Crosby. I'm with MetLife, and we're going to be reviewing your life insurance options from the County of San Diego today from MetLife. Life insurance is very important for many people because of the loss of income. If someone passes away, standard of living that people want to maintain if someone passes away, and also for financial security of you and your family. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans say that they need more life insurance. So this is a way for you to have basic life and additional life insurance through MetLife. So why would you want to evaluate your life insurance annually? Because your needs change and evolve over time. So people have different needs from time to time. Maybe you're going to be getting married, or you're having a growing family, having kids, or you have a newer, larger mortgage. Some people have had a change in job or a salary increase, or they're planning for retirement. So these are all good reasons to be reviewing what your life insurance needs might be. So there's basic life that's covered for you by your employer. And then the accidental death and dismemberment plan is employer paid for the basic. It's based on class. So class 1 is a flat 10,000. Class 2 is one-time basic annual earnings up to $1 million to a minimum of 50,000. Class 3 and class 5 are basic earnings up to $1 million. So 2 times basic earnings up to $1 million with a minimum of 50,000 coverage. There is also supplemental coverage that employees can purchase over and above the basic life insurance. Coverage is available for 1 to 6 times your basic earnings to a maximum of $2 million. And enrollment in the supplemental life plan is available without providing a statement of health, as long as you're actively at work and meet the conditions that are listed here. So your enrollment takes place before the enrollment deadline. You're a new hire, and your enrollment takes place within the first 31 days from when you're eligible, and the amount of coverage is 1 to 3 times your basic annual earnings. Then if you're continuing coverage that you had from last year, of course. And here, if you waived coverage in the past and now you want to increase your coverage amount for what you currently have, you're required to complete a statement of health, which is a questionnaire that's emailed to you after the enrollment period ends to be able to fill out for larger amounts or additional amounts of coverage. They do also offer the voluntary AD&D coverage. So you can purchase additional voluntary AD&D coverage for yourself. And then when you do that, you're eligible for 1 to 3 times your annual earnings up to a maximum of $1 million. And once the employee purchases that, they can then add spouse or domestic partner and or dependent children to that. So spouse and domestic partner and child will be the 50% of the employee's amount. If someone's adding just a spouse or a domestic partner only, then the amount is 60%. If they're adding only dependent children, then it would be 25%. That means if they're adding any of those to the base policy for the accidental death and dismemberment. We also have a lot of advantages. So there's a lot of things that come along with supporting these plans from MetLife, which is a really good thing to have. So you have travel assistance as an example. There's a total control account to help beneficiaries be able to manage their money after somebody passes away. There's grief counseling available. There's planning services for will preparation ahead of time, face-to-face estate resolution. There's a wills center that you can go into under the basic life, and then there's funeral planning services. All tools that people can take advantage of using to help make sure that they're all set when things do happen. The coverage is for active employees, and services for workplace transition solutions and portability is part of the buy-up life insurance there. So we do have tools also to help you determine how much additional coverage you might want above the basic life insurance. You can go to the lifeonlinecalculator.com, and there's tools in there for you to decide for you and your family what's the correct amount of coverage for you based on your lifestyle and your personal situation. So that's included in the enrollment materials. Enrollment is open from September 27th to October 21st for you to be able to enroll for your 2022 benefits. It's easy to access through the PeopleSoft on the county's site. You can see it here. That's your intranet internally where you go to do your enrollments. And then you can always call MetLife directly to get questions answered. And there's the 800 number there. I can leave that up for a moment if anybody needs to take down that number as well. Most of this information is also out there on your county's MetLife website page. There's a My Benefits page there. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. And if there's other questions, we can try to address those.
Okay. Oh, here's a follow-up question regarding beneficiaries. The individual is asking, can our beneficiaries for AD&D be non-spouses and non-children? Would
Beneficiary or
that be
covered
related?
participant. So if you're choosing a beneficiary, you could choose to have, somebody like an uncle or a brother or a sister or somebody as a beneficiary to receive benefits if someone passes away. But in terms of being able to cover somebody, the coverage options would be for the employee to get AD&D. And then if the employee purchases additional AD&D, then that's when they could add a spouse or a domestic partner or dependent children to that. The basic life that the employer purchases and the AD&D benefit that the employer purchases is just for the employee only.
Thank you, Peter, for that clarification. We'll keep the Q&A box open a few minutes longer. For any other questions, please type them in. We're happy to answer them right now.
I apologize if anybody can hear. There's people outside with, I think, some yard tools. So I apologize for the background noise. I can mute if you would like me to mute.
Okay, Peter, we have a few questions in the box.
Okay.
Okay, one slide showed that we get life insurance at 1 to 6 times our salary, but the other slide showed the classes showed that the maximum amount is twice our salary, which is correct.
So the basic life could be, if you're in class 3 or class 5, would be the basic life at 2 times your salary. The buy-up life insurance is 1 to 6 times your coverage. And then if you go above 1 to 3 times, if you're newly eligible and you go above 1 to 3 times your basic annual salary, then you could have to provide a statement of health.
And how long does it take to get approved for supplemental life?
Supplemental life, depending on whether if it's an amount that doesn't require a statement of health, then that would be approved very quickly for the beginning of 2022. If there's a statement of health, then they have to go through the statement of health first to determine eligibility. But if you then are eligible for the amount you apply based on the statement of health, then that would be also effective at the beginning of your plan year upon approval.
Peter, next question. What type of travel assistance is offered? Is it free?
The travel assistance package is part of the buy-up life insurance, and yeah, you don't pay additional for the travel assistance. And again, there's going to be a list of all of the different things that the travel assistance provides that you'll have access to on your MetLife part of your website.
Okay, next question. I know that you mentioned the online will assistance preparation, but one slide also showed in-person will assistance. How does that work?
So the basic online will prep is going to be with the basic life, where you can go on and use the will prep self-service will prep tools. The face-to-face will prep is going to be with the buy-up life insurance. That's going to be the one that's going to be through the MetLife partners at the Met Law program, where you have access to the network attorney and in-network attorney to assist you with your will or your living trust needs.
Next question, is there an age limit on dependent child for dependent coverage at $2,000? I believe that age limit is 26, up to age 26.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that's what we had mentioned before, up to age 26.
Let's see, here's another question. So can we schedule an in-person appointment for will assistance if we purchase additional life insurance? Do you have the phone number for that?
So the phone number for that's going to be, again, on the website for the buy-up life insurance when you go in there. You could call 1-800-GET-MET and they could assist you as well, to be able to get a hold of those in-network attorneys once your coverage is active for the buy-up life insurance.
Okay. In addition to answering that question, if you go to the chat box, I am posting another link that is specific to the will preparation services, and there will be a phone number there. So this will be for everyone to see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it is a link to the FAQs on will preparation services, if you're eligible or not, what number to call to schedule an appointment to meet with an in-person representative. All right. Is there any other questions? We're good for now.
Gosh, yes, thank you again for all the questions. These are very good questions. This is a really good time to think about what you want to have for 2022 as well. So during open enrollment, I do recommend that you just review all of your life benefits, the basic and the buy-up, to be sure you have, what's right for you and your families.
And for everyone in attendance who's been saying thank you, you're very welcome. We're happy to answer your questions and assist with understanding how these benefits work for you. Looks like I see Q&A. I see from the chat box that when we call for in-person will assistance, we're supposed to provide a customer number. Where do we find our customer number?
I'm not sure if they're looking for a policy number there with the customer number, or if they're looking for a group number. You could get the group number from your plan administrator and human resources for the basic life, for the group number there. They may be looking for a policy number if you have buy-up life insurance specifically.
All right. See if there's another question, and if not, I believe we can conclude the session. It doesn't appear to be
So I
any
do
other
have time to
questions.
stay on here. I think they've scheduled me for a few hours, so.
Oh, that's great. Absolutely. Would you like to do another round of the presentation?
I mean, if there's new people that would like me to, I mean, I'm happy to go through it again. It's really up to all of you, so.
Okay. And for that last question regarding in-person assistance and needing a customer number, if it helps, our policy or group number is 158540. I can put that. Oh, it's already in the chat. Never mind. Katie's on it. Thanks, Katie.
No problem.
Okay. Well, everyone, we again thank you for attending the webinar. We will go ahead and close this out and conclude the session. Thank you again. We hope everyone have a great day.
Thank you very much for having us and trusting in MetLife for your life insurance programs and services. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Peter.